Hey, everybody. Remember, if you're a fan of the Tennessee Volunteers or just sports in general, please like, comment, and subscribe. Any and all support's greatly appreciated. Now, let's get to the video. Hey, guys. How's it going? Happy Sunday. Happy March Madness bracket unveiling day. Sorry it's been a minute since the last video. Honestly, there hasn't been a ton to talk about regarding Tennessee. I mean, we had another back-breaking loss to Vanderbilt as we close out the season. So not much to talk about there, but don't want to get sidetracked there. What I do want to get into today is March Madness has officially begun. The bracket was unveiled today, and today during this video, I want to walk through my logic as I fill out my bracket. Maybe we won't have to burn this bracket after, the first couple of games, but regardless, just walk you through and predict the next national champion. So let's go ahead and dive into it here. I've zoomed in a little bit. Starting in the East, we'll work our way down from the left over to the right. So Duke, God bless you, Sienna, but Cam Boozer could probably single-handedly defeat you. Our first interesting matchup, if you will, Ohio State, TCU. Ohio State's been a pretty consistent contender in the Big Ten. TCU, I heard a statistic earlier this season when they beat Iowa State that they are measurement-wise, literally the second smallest team in the entire NCAA. So where they are short, they make up in shooting. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a massive upset. I am going to go ahead and take TCU over Ohio State. St. John's, Petrino. Yeah, it's Petrino, right? This is awkward. Petrino. Hold on a second. I'm still half asleep. Coke. Petino, not Petrino. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking there. Petino runs all over Northwestern. Kansas, does Darren Peterson actually play? Probably, at least for now. So I've got them over Cal Baptist. Louisville, so this could be our first sneaky 6-11 matchup. Mikael Brown out at Louisville. Great point guard, probably looking to be a top 10 pick. USF, again, one of those teams that has been consistently kind of just good enough this year. They did win their conference, but I do think that Louisville's money that they spent in the NIL portal reigns supreme. We go down here, Michigan State versus North Dakota State. Fears carries the way for Michigan State. Continuing down, here's where I have my first upset. UCLA, since that weird freak out by Mick Cronin a few weeks ago against the one reporter, they went on a little bit of a hot streak. They did fall short in the Big Ten tournament, but I'm going to say UCF steals the win here. What Jimmy Dawkins has done for the cash that he's been given for NIL, I think he's a better coach, and I think the players have more skill. So I'm going to go UCF with the upset here. UConn Furman, as someone who lives in near Johnson City, Tennessee, ETSU's in the Southern Conference, shares that conference with Furman, lost to Furman in the conference championship there, a very embarrassing loss. So I'm going to go UConn just runs all over Furman. Continuing down, does not matter who wins this play-in game. Florida runs all over them. Iowa and Clemson, shout out the Iowa folks that I interact with on Twitter. Clemson's been pretty good as of late, made it all the way to the ACC championship game. But I'm going to take a flyer on Iowa here to say that they make a slight upset. Vanderbilt, listen, I want to even call them little brother, but you can't say they're little brother when they've literally beaten you in every major sport for the last year. So while we run the state of Tennessee, most of the time Vanderbilt's running it this year, and Vanderbilt runs all over McNeese. Nebraska has an opportunity, if I'm not mistaken, to win their first ever tournament game. So I'm going to go Nebraska over Troy. North Carolina, VCU, obviously North Carolina missing their star player, but I do think they have enough skill that they'll get by a pretty feisty and good VCU team. Illinois and Penn. Illinois is someone who just absolutely dog-walked Tennessee when they played earlier in the season. One of the best teams in the Big Ten. A really talented Eastern European guy, like many teams has. So I'm going to go Illinois here. St. Mary's and Texas A&M. If you've been paying attention, Texas A&M's on quite the skid here. So I am going to go St. Mary's. And then Houston, Idaho. I don't think we have too much to say there. So give me Houston. Going back up to the other side here. Arizona or fins up, LIU, Long Island. We're going to go Arizona in a bloodbath. Villanova, Utah State. We're actually going to go Utah State here. This is a coin flip kind of game, as most 8v9 seed games are. But I am going to go Utah State here. Wisconsin, High Point. Wisconsin has some talented big men who really know how to drain threes. High Point, again, another feisty mid-major, winning their conference, but I am going to go Wisconsin. Arkansas, Hawaii, Calipari rolls. BYU or Texas, NC State. Now, I do have NC State beating Texas. We'll see where that shakes out. BYU has been on a little bit of a cold streak here recently. So, I've pretty much went chalk for the most part throughout this. So I'm going to say North Carolina State upsets BYU. We've then got Gonzaga over Kennesaw State. Here's another upset, just because I've seen Missouri and I've lost to Missouri, I being Tennessee. I'm going to go Missouri over Miami. Purdue rolls over Queens. Scrolling down here. Doesn't matter who wins that play-in game. Give me Michigan. Another slight upset here. Give me St. Louis over Georgia. If you've watched Georgia in the SEC, they actively find ways to lose games. So go ahead and give me St. Louis. Texas Tech is going to roll over Akron. Alabama's going to roll over Hofstra. Miami of Ohio or SMU versus Tennessee. I am going to say SMU is going to beat Miami of Ohio. I think Miami of Ohio is not that good. Click this if you want to. If you're a Miami of Ohio fan, I do not think your team's that good. You may get a home draw, but I don't think it's going to save you. I think SMU beats you regardless. Then I think SMU, Tennessee, could literally see SMU winning this. Tennessee's been cold. We're not that great of a team, but I am going to go Tennessee here. Virginia, Wright State. I am going to go Virginia. Kentucky, Santa Clara. This is one just for the memes of it. We're going to say Santa Clara over Kentucky. While Kentucky had a little bit of a showing in the SEC tournament, Mark Pope is not exactly renowned for his deep runs in March. So I'm going to go Santa Clara and then Iowa State. So staying on this side, I'm going to say Iowa State rolls over Santa Clara. A little background, again, massive Tennessee fan. If we can have Gillespie and Ament playing their best ball and our defensive intensity, I don't think UVA will have played something like that before. So as much as I'm being biased here and I should pick UVA, I am going to pick Tennessee. Ironic for those of you who follow me on Twitter or have interacted with me, I hate Texas Tech. I really can't stand their fans. They think their school's relevance is based off how much money they pay, and congratulations, you have a lot of oil money, but that does not translate to prestige. It does not translate to wins. So what we're going to say here is, I've always said Texas Tech is essentially the Alabama of the Big 12, and Alabama's the Alabama of the SEC. Neither one has a really great big man, especially, unfortunately, for Texas Tech with JT Toppin being out. So it really boils down to, who do I think can hit more threes? Of course, I think that's Alabama. I'm going to go Alabama. Michigan demolishes St. Louis. That fairy tale comes to an end. Purdue demolishes Missouri. I'm going to have Gonzaga beating NC State. Arkansas and Calipari roll over Wisconsin. Arizona destroys Utah State. Over to the next side of the bracket, I've got Duke beating TCU. I think their defense is just too suffocating. Here's going to be a really, really good game. Self versus Pitino. So by this point, this is a meme, but do I think that there's a strong chance that Darren Peterson has sat out part of a half? Is there a lot of media coverage on it? I do, and I think Pitino is going to feed into that. I think St. John's is going to move forward. This is an interesting one. Louisville, Michigan State, Fears, Brown, Pat Kelsey. I feel like Fears is too good here, and I think Fears is going to lead the way for Michigan State. I think, again, another Cinderella, not so much Cinderella, another good story with UCF kind of comes to an end there with UConn. Hurley's going to do what Hurley's going to do. Florida destroys Iowa. Vanderbilt beats Nebraska. Illinois is going to go ahead and beat North Carolina. I think North Carolina, again, when you're missing your star player, if he was there, I would reverse that. But I've got Illinois over North Carolina, and then I'm going to have Houston coming out of that matchup with St. Mary's, just because I think their defense is so suffocating. Here, I'm going to have Houston advancing past Illinois again. Houston reminds me of Tennessee, where their defense is just so good, but they're different than Tennessee because they have such a talented offense. We then get a rematch against Florida and Vanderbilt, and I do think Florida is going to get their revenge. UConn, I think, is going to destroy Michigan State. Well, not destroy. I think UConn will handle Michigan State and Fears. I think Hurley has everything he wants to continue his march forward. Then I'm going to have our first kind of big upset on in the bracket. Give me St. John's over Duke. I think St. John's is just a mature team. They're a tough team. They've got enough offense. They've got a staunch defense. If you haven't noticed, I think staunch defenses are what are going to take the day. In another upset, give me Arkansas over Arizona. Calipari, baby. Once he gets running, I think it's going to be hard to stop them. Give me, just because I never trust Gonzaga, give me Purdue over Gonzaga. Give me Michigan over Alabama to make it to the Elite Eight. And then give me Iowa State over Michigan. I think the odds of Tennessee putting together 3 straight games where they play defense and good offense is almost near zero. If they could, I would maybe put them over Iowa State, but the odds of them kind of bottling back for 3 straight games is just minimal. Then go ahead and give me Michigan over Iowa State. Arkansas over Purdue. This is a big East matchup. These guys have played a couple of times. St. John's, winners of the last 2, if I'm not mistaken, and pretty handedly there's something there. I know they say it's hard to beat a team multiple times in a season, but give me St. John's for the Final Four. And then I think Florida runs out of luck. Give me Houston into the Final Four. And so for a Final Four matchup, we've got St. John's, Houston, Arkansas, Michigan. Go ahead and give me St. John's in the championship game. And go ahead and give me Arkansas in the championship game. I think there's something special about both Pitino and Calipari and their squads this year. I really, really do. And then for the national championship, we've got a couple of Italian guys with a lot of history with one another, with a lot of beef with one another, who frankly, I don't know if they like each other, matching up in Indy. Who do I have winning it? Darius Acuff, of course. I think this guy's one of the best players in off college, led by one of the best, if not the best coach in college. How many points will be scored? I'm going to say 121. I'm going to say 61 Arkansas, 60 St. John's. Let's go ahead and enter that submitter bracket. There you have it, folks. We've got Arkansas winning it all. Now, again, there's a strong chance that this just absolutely implodes over the course of the next week. And that's the fun part about March Madness. But I really do think, as someone who watched his team get his butt whooped by Arkansas, I think there's something special about this team. I think Calipari is an unreal coach, and I think just Darius Acuff, man, is just like otherworldly. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? What would you have done differently? Tell me who you've got as your national championships. Thanks again for stopping in today. And remember, if you like this content, I can't ask enough. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Any and all support's greatly appreciated. And as always, go Vols!